Hello and welcome to Odd Sock Comics. This is my new comic book day haul for Wednesday, April 10th, 2019. And I had a really good time at the comic shop today. There were a lot of books that I bought. This is one of the bigger weeks. I'm going to start out here. Normally I start out with my pick of the week. I'll get to that in just a second. But I wanted to start out with my covers, my cover by onlys, because first of all, I thought they were fantastic. I was not intending to buy this book at all. This is the Perillo variant for Red Hood Outlaw number 33, and I mean, I like it. Can barely do it justice inside the bag because it's reflecting funny. It's just this dark, mean comic book, man. That thing just like was a hole. You're looking at the wall of new comics, and that one's just this dark skull folding his arms staring at you. Man, that one sucked me in. Picked this one up, wasn't planning on it. I had seen it and I was like, oh, that's cool, I'll go check it out. But no, seeing it in person, this is a fantastic cover. Just really happy with that. That one will probably go on my heavy metal wall. So very cool cover. And then of course I've got the Artgerm Catwoman number 10. Really cool. It's more of this artistic posing stuff. It's interesting. You got the gargoyle, you got the bats. It's interesting. I really want to see Artgerm do. At least it's kind of an active pose. It's better than the other Artgerm cover that I got this week that I'll show in just a minute. But still love Artgerm. I definitely think for cover price you can't do much better than him. Glad that I'm collecting his work. So very cool Catwoman cover and ridiculously cool Red Hood Outlaw number 33. Man, I like this one. This one's probably not going in the box. This one's staying out with me. So that's a good sign of a cover when I don't want to put it away. Keep it on the top of the stack. All right, so next up I will move to my pick of the week. And I've got two that I'm debating here today. So first up I have Murder Falcon number 7. And this is the heavy metal cover. I believe this is a Dio cover. Dio. I know it's Dio. I don't know why I just said Dio. But it's Dio. Listen to some of the music today just to get me in the mood for reading this book. Erica Henderson, I believe, did the cover. And Erica Henderson is the artist that's done a lot of Squirrel Girl. So she's got an interesting kind of more of a cartoony style, but I mean it works. This is a cool cover, and it works as an homage to the Dio heavy metal cover. But this was not my pick of the week. I'm going with so let me just talk a little bit about the story here. So for the first half of this book, I was kind of annoyed. It's kind of there's a symphony and there's all of these things, and Tokyo's under attack, and it's this big chaotic battle that doesn't make a lot of sense, and it wasn't that interesting. I was like, oh man, they're kind of losing the story. But then the last couple of pages, they dug into the character, into Jake the character, the main character here, and man, I swear, I was kind of bothered with the book first. I was like, oh, this is really downhill. But then at the very end, he did something, and I was like almost teary. I mean, you can't get much better at storytelling than that. I definitely had some mixed feelings on this one. It's not my pick of the week because of the next book that I'm going to show you. But I did really. I mean, a book that touches you like that is something meaningful, and this has kind of done it the whole time. They've developed Jake very interestingly across this story. He's gone from kind of being a dark, misunderstood guy to you understand why, and now he just kind of embraces everything in a really cool way. So it came out a few issues ago that he has cancer. Now, personally, I haven't had a very tragic life, but the way that they approach this, I do have people in my family, my extended family, that some that are dying of cancer, and it's something that touches me, and to see the way that he embraces it and he deals with it, and to see the way that it affects his relationships is really something that's important to me. So this is a much deeper book than just the heavy metal covers and all of the action and fight scenes would have you think. Very cool, Loved the book. Definitely worth reading. If you're not reading it, I'd suggest going back and getting it. It's not that hard to find some of the covers. You may not be able to get all the heavy metal ones. I don't know how hard that is, but they're still available. If you haven't read it, it's worth getting. It's a good comic book, high action, kind of cool, episodic. It's unrolling every episode, every issue. Very, very cool. If you're not reading it, you should. And if you can get the heavy metal covers, they're awesome. But man, now that I'm talking about it, I'm like, that should be my pick of the week, but I already made the decision, so I'm going to go forward here. So this is my actual pick of the week. This is Symbiote Spider-Man, and this is the Artgerm cover, which I bought it because of the Artgerm cover. I probably would have skipped this book otherwise. I didn't know much about the underlying book, but I'm glad that I got it. It was really cool. So Symbiote Spider-Man, and I'm going to open it up. I've got this so that I can show the interior art, because it's Greg Land, and he's got a very distinct style. I like it. I'm not going to lie. I would be a fan of it. You've got some. I don't want to show too many pages, but you got some of the standard shots that you expect from Greg Land. Photo where he copies over photos and stuff. But it's fun. It's very emoting faces and interesting. But what really got to it is, it's the story. It's got Mysterio as the bad guy. It's this story about Spider-Man from shortly after he got the symbiotic suit, the black suit from Secret Wars and Spider-Man 252. Those books are very interesting to me. They're both on my list for books that I'm going to acquire this year. And so this is kind of starting from that as a basis. So very cool book. The story was interesting. One of the cool things that happened, again, it started out kind of childish, kind of not that interesting. Thought it might be one of these lighter books that they have writers that are more focused on kids and stuff. But they did something that is very cool. This book is actually a tragedy. And that's the best kind of story to delve into, where Peter Parker is trying to be the hero, but he's actually, enacting the struggle that's going on. He's making things worse as he tries to make them better. That's a cool storyline to take. They did it in a very good way, a very mature way, even though some of the banter and stuff that's going on in it is pretty childish. So I think that it's a good storytelling, straightforward. And between that and then being an Artgerm cover, this is my pick of the week, my favorite book this week. I will say, as much as I love this Artgerm cover, it is just absolutely beautiful. The bokeh of the way that he pulled off this bokeh is pretty impressive. That's a very cool picture, but it is a glamour shot. It's a picture that you would take. Now, he said that this was supposed to be a picture of the way that Peter Parker saw Gwen Stacy the first time that he, through his camera. He was a photographer. So this is very much trying to imitate a photograph, but it is just a photograph. And this is a comic book. So it doesn't quite work as a comic book cover. Works great as a concept piece. Works great as showing off what you can do. Not my favorite kind of comic book cover. I like a little bit of action. I like a little bit of, excitement. Something a little more interesting than a photograph of a beautiful woman. So that's why, not my favorite cover, still cool, like it is an Artgerm cover, but that's my pick of the week. All right, next up let's go with the 3 Batman books next. So because of Batman Detective Comics number 1000, it threw off their schedule, and so now Detective Comics and Batman are both coming out the same week, which is a little bit weird. Of the two, so I got the Matina cover for Batman number 68. It's a cool cover. It's kind of hard to see, and it's going to be hard to see no matter what because it's very dark, but very cool, very detailed, very gritty. Does not match the story inside that book at all. And then I got the David Finch? I got the Finch cover, the cover B for Detective Comics 1001. That was a mistake. If you haven't bought this and you're planning to get it, try to get cover A. This one is all about the Arkham Knight, and the other cover has the Arkham Knight on it. It's definitely going to be the more collectible one, the more meaningful book. Oh well, I bought it for the story, and it's a good story. So of the two, Detective Comics wins 1,000 times over. Batman 68 has zero action. It's about Batman having a nightmare. It's continuing with the nightmare story, and it's Lois Lane going out to a bachelor party with Catwoman, and that's about it. And then on the other side, Superman or Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne are out doing their thing, eating, talking about museums and stuff. So the girls are out partying and having fun and getting strippers and everything, and the men are being, I don't know, wimps basically. And I gotta say, so I don't read Superman. I'm not interested in Superman. I don't even like the character of Superman. Maybe there's more to it than I think, but it's just one that doesn't interest me. And anytime I see him as a character come into other books, I don't care what's going on with Superman. But I gotta say, the way that they characterized him in this book, he's Clark Kent. He never actually appears as Superman. Maybe he does a little bit, but most of the time he's Clark Kent, and he does all of these and he's very timid. And this is just Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne, who are supposed to be friends, and he's got this very shy way of speaking. And this is Tom King. He's writing that in on purpose. I don't know what's going on. I'm not a big fan of what he's doing right now. I have a feeling things are going to get better. He does a pretty good job of digging into characterization, so I still have hope, and I'm not going to stop reading Batman. That's the book that got me into comic books. But man, sometimes I'm tempted. It's been too many books since there's been something interested in the Batman run. So, whatever. This one of my least favorite picks of the week, so done with that one. But I did like Detective Comics 101 talking about... I'm going to have to stop that just a second. All right, we've got one last Batman book. This is the Batman Who Laughs number 4. This one was much more of a comic book. I really liked this. It digs into a couple of the characters, but one of the things that they did really well was in the lettering. They showed, I'll pull this one out to demonstrate this. They showed Batman going crazy in the lettering, and it's kind of obvious, but it's fun. So I like this kind of stuff. So as you've got, let's see if I can find a page with Batman talking. So you find a page, or you're reading Batman, and here I'll zoom up here. And so you're reading along, and he's just chatting, and he's kind of I don't remember exactly what happens here, but in here his language keeps going up to red and gets scratchy the way that the Batman Who Laughs types. So he's kind of going crazy, and it slips in and out of normal and crazy in each of these boxes. Just one of those really cool things. It's one of those things that you do one way in film, you do another way in comic books. This embraced the medium of comic books in a way that I thought was really cool. So I like this. It was enjoyable. It's a comic book the way the comic books are supposed to be done. So that one was fun. Next up, I've got one that I did not like. So this is Web of Venom, Cult of Carnage. And this was not an interesting book. Okay, so moving on. So this book, Web of Venom, Cult of Carnage, this was written by Frank Thierry. I'm not particularly familiar with him, but I looked back at some of the work that he's done, and it's not surprising that he wrote for Harley Quinn a few months ago. It's very much in that kind of a characterization. The characters aren't deep. They talk a lot. They do things through this weird descriptive way. It's kind of interesting. It bounces back and forth through time to tell the story just over the space of a couple of days. That's interesting enough, but I didn't like it, didn't care for it. It's more tell rather than show. Even they say, I saw the most horrifying thing that I've ever seen, and then you look at the page and it's not that horrifying. So it's like, he didn't do a real great job of turning this into a horror. Have better hope for future Carnage books. I'm a big fan of Carnage, have the first appearance, always was, that he was one of my favorite, just that creepiness, the pure, chaotic, evil aspect of him was something that was always very interesting. I think he came out when I was a little kid, and was always kind of the scariest, to me, the scariest of Spider-Man's enemies. So always interested in Carnage stories. This one, the way that it was written, more like a Harley Quinn kind of, and then telling rather than showing was not a great way to tell the story. So not great. So I think that does it. Let me just take a quick look here. I think that does it for new books this week. I've got one back issue, or one new book that didn't come out this week that I'll show you in just a minute, and then I've got some back issues that I picked up. So the one book that I got this week that's a couple weeks old is Punchline number 5, and this is number 5, right? Yes. And I had this on my pull list, and I was traveling 2 weeks ago on Wednesday, and so I didn't get to my shop in time, or I didn't get to my shop early in the day at all. But I did go to other shops as I was traveling and trying to get home. I stopped at a couple of other shops, and I saw this book, and I was like, "Oh, good, it's out. I should grab it." And I didn't, because I said, I asked my local shop to buy it for me and hold it. If they did that, I want to give them the money. So then I got back to my local shop, and I grabbed my pull list that day, later that night, on Wednesday night, and it wasn't there. And I was like, oh man, did I miss Punchline 5? Did he not get it into the pull list? I was really kind of frustrated. However, he made up for it. He got Punchline. Apparently he got it a couple weeks late. I don't know why exactly, but it showed up in my box. And it was a fun book. There's some good stuff going on. I look forward to the continuing story. I love these guys, Bill Williams and I'm going to screw up their names. Matt Weldon? I can't remember. But the guys that write it and do the art, they're great guys to follow on Twitter. They're just very into comics. They're very friendly. They're very fun. I think they're going to be at my local comic convention in a couple months. I'm looking forward to seeing them. Hopefully I'll have them sign a couple of things and chat with them, because I love what they do. Talk to them on Twitter. They respond, they're responsive, and they're fun. So like these guys, I like the book. It's fun, it's action-packed. The whole thing is there's a lot of cool stuff going on. So this one's definitely worth reading. If you're not getting it, it's worth trying to get a hold of. And I think that if you're looking for back issues, if you can't get a hold of them, you can get it online for pretty inexpensive. So you can catch up even if you can't find the books locally. So that's a good book. I have just a couple of books that I've got in the mail this week. I'm going to show those right here. So I'm going to go backwards from the last one. So Batman 658, 657, 656, and then I got 655. So I bought these books as a set, and I got them because I wanted 655 and 657. My son's favorite character in all of comic books right now is Damian Wayne, and 655 is the first appearance of Damian Wayne, and 657 is the first appearance of Damian Wayne as Robin. So these books were books that my son wanted. They're in my collection. I'm excited to have them. But my son gets excited about my comic books when there are books that he knows about. So I showed him when I opened the box. I was like, guess what I got here? And I pulled it open, and I had this one on top. This was the first thing that I saw, and he said, you got Batman 655. So that was really cool. My son is getting into this, and it's really fun to do it with him. My daughters have their books. They're a little different, but they are enjoying their books. We have a magazine rack with some lower value fun books, just books that we got in either grab bags or things like that. I sometimes let the kids pick out a book if I take them to the local shop. But we have a bunch of books, and I love finding them on the floor. My 8-year-old daughter will bring one and have it at the table, and I have to tell her to put it away when we eat dinner. Very, very fun. That's actually one of the things that I like to do. So it's fun to get my kids into comic books. I bought these because it was exciting to my son. I did this with eBay Bucks, so I didn't pay any money for these, and I picked a couple of other things as well that are going to be coming next week. Very excited about this. I didn't pay any money for these, but I think that the cost in cash would have been about $35, I want to say, for all 4 of them. This one, they're worth about like $20, and then maybe 5 a piece. So it's pretty close to the market value of them is what I paid. They are in really good shape. Was looking very closely at this one because it's definitely the most valuable of them, and looks in really good shape. I think I saw a little tick, just a little, like a thumb bend from right up here, a thumb bend from somebody pulling the page. But very very high quality, high grade book. I mean, it's not worth much of anything if it's not high grade, but this one is. So happy to get that one, add them to my collection, get my son excited about comic books. So that's it for this week. Oh, there was one other thing that I wanted to show you. So that is it for this week for books. I did something both fun and stupid. I have a stack here of 50 Mylights 2 with fullbacks. I was so excited to get these and to use them for... my intention is all of the books that are going to be a part of my permanent collection are going to end up in Mylars. I'm not going to save anything that's not in Mylars. So I was going to start getting rid of all of the thinner plastic bags. But the problem is, I thought I bought current size Mylars, but I ended up getting the silver gold. I don't know exactly what happened, but they're huge. And they're so huge that they don't fit inside my long boxes. So the nice thing is I do have a few silver books that need these. So I'm going to do another video here pretty soon with where I'm just going to bag my Silver Age books, show you what I got there, and put them all in those cases. And I'll do that pretty soon. And then I ordered some current size. So when I get the current size, I'm gonna start bagging my Artgerm collection, because that's obviously something that's gonna stick around for a long time. So I'm gonna start going through my Artgerm collection. I'll show you what I've got. Talked a little bit about those. So those are some upcoming videos. The other thing that I have coming up, and I realize this is a long video, but if you've stuck around this long, then you definitely deserve to be the first one to know about it. I am going to be doing a contest. I'll probably put the video out this Saturday. The contest is going to be for a Spider-Man King Size Annual number 16, the first appearance of Monica Rambeau. It's a pretty good book. It looks like the value is jumping up on it. I got a good deal on it, but I'm very happy. I've got 2 of them, so I'm very happy to share that one around with other people in the community. That's going to be the giveaway. The entry is going to require that you help me come up with a good sign-off for my videos. My wife keeps telling me every time I finish a video, she's like, you need to sign off. I said, I know, I don't have one. My videos just kind of end. I say, see you next week or whatever. So I'm going to put the video up. The entry is going to require that you put some phrase that I can use as a sign-off in a comment, and that'll give you an entry. And I'll leave it up for maybe 2 weeks or something, and then we'll do the run. But so that's all I've got this week. If I had a sign-off, I would use that now, but since I don't, all I can say is see you next week.